What's up, people? Starting a little early here. Where's Raina? Today's show is going to be on ACF. Oh, Raina's here. There you are. I can't hear you, Raina. What's all that noise? Nope. Raina! Anyways, we're here today to talk about ACF and data management. I am all about abstracting data. I don't like anything on a page that hold on, there she is again.
Is it working?
Oh yeah, I can hear your beautiful voice. That's better. Let me know if you can hear me. What's up, Maida?
I'm still. You're really low for some reason.
Oh,
it might just be my computer.
How about now? Is that better?
No.
No.
I think it's my computer. Hold on a second.
Okay, might be your settings. Anyways, we're here early, 7 minutes until the actual show. So if you have any questions, you want to say hi, you want to, either of those two really, like, comment, share would be really helpful to get our streams out there. They have been growing, which is cool. YouTube, not so much, but we are streaming live to YouTube, Facebook, X, and what's the other one? LinkedIn, of course.
Audio. Okay, I fixed it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You can hear me pretty good?
Yeah.
All right. I do have music on in the background, so it could be that. We have 5 minutes for Manic Mondays live stream. Calling out to the world. Say hi. 5 minutes for Manic Mondays live stream. Why do I hear me? Calling out to the world. Say hi. 5 minutes for Manic Mondays. What?
It's the mic. Let me get off the mic. Hold on.
All right. You got an infinite loop going on, which is actually right along with today's show of data management. Who's here? Who's watching? One viewer on YouTube. Okay, what's up, YouTube? We take questions and comments. We'll be going over ACF today, data management, and other things, not so much just ACF, obviously. It's a 4-minute countdown. What do we got? That's not today. That's today. Live stream, data management. 3 minutes. Remove.
All right, take 3. Am I normal now, or?
Yeah, I can hear you. I hear myself too, though. Can you go to settings and audio and say echo cancellation? Make sure that's on.
Yeah. Okay, I just did it.
All right.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. No, I can't hear myself.
Okay.
It's
I don't
the
know
worst.
what was going on. That's the first time there was like looping.
Yeah. It's good we figured it out beforehand. Coffee. Two-minute warning. I know you love this. Let's count one. Yeah, and on YouTube we can actually all of them really, but YouTube you can trim it. So we can say, all right, let's trim off the beginning, you know.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, because obviously that was technical difficulties in the beginning.
All right, let me just write going live. Tune digital. Data management. Oh, it's 11. All right. Let's get on with it. We don't need this timer anymore, right? We don't need this music anymore either. Let's turn that off and get on with the beautiful show.
Happy Monday.
August 5th. Here we are. Today is Work Like a Dog Day, which we're going to talk about doing the opposite of working like a dog and working like a cat. Because who wants to work like a dog? Let's be and get things done better and quicker without having to work like a dog on Work Like a Dog Day. So let's get on with it. National Work Like a Dog Day urges us to charge forth and meet every challenge that we face. But we're going to say it's National Work Like a Cat Day, urges us to take it easy and just do things smartly and not go crazy. And with that said, we're mostly talking about ACF, which is a plugin on WordPress that allows, there's a bunch of plugins on WordPress that allow for this, but this is my favorite plugin, and it's usually one of the first ones I install. That'll allow you to easily create post types and fields that are associated with it. You can do it in code, of course, and sometimes it's better. This way is a lot easier, especially when you hand it off to a client and they want to make edits, or they want to modify things. So that's why we stick with ACF over post meta, which is like a PHP way to do it. Let's talk about ACF. You want to say anything before we jump into an example here?
Rena? Yeah, so really...
Oh, your voice is...
Huh?
Your voice is all crazy.
It is?
Yeah, maybe turn off the mic and turn it back on.
The mic isn't on.
Yeah, like turn it or the volume down or something. Maybe turn the volume off and then turn it on again.
This is no. Better.
Let me see. Let me meet you. How about now?
Is this better?
No. Yeah,
like
but it's
choppy or what?
Really choppy. Yeah. It's like...
Let me call back in.
Okay.
There you go.
I'll be here.
I'm not sure what's going on today.
Anyways, ACF. Yeah. Okay. ACF plugin. It's free, and there's a premium version, and we do have the premium version. It does allow for a lot of cool things, like adding repeater fields and things like flexible content, which is a really, really cool feature when you are building a site in order for someone else to build. So layers, meaning like here's a CTA layer on the back end of a website when it's coded correctly. Block theme does all this stuff now, honestly, but when you're talking about a bigger site and more interconnected taxonomies and blogs or anything like that, ACF or similar is, I think, the way to go. It'll allow you to build pages based on data, based on sections that were already developed by a developer or a designer. But we're not going to go that far into it today. We're going to kind of just show, I sound like Raina, we're going to kind of just show what ACF is, how to install it, how to go about creating a custom content type and the custom fields that go along with it, and then, of course, the display of those content types. We'll see if Raina's microphone is working. Once she jumps back in this room, she might be restarting. I always tell her to restart. I say, restart your computer. That usually fixes it. I restart everything. I restart my phone. I restart my computer daily because stuff gets backed up. Maybe it's audio. Maybe it's Chrome. I can't do this show without Raina. Here she comes.
All right. Is that better?
Yeah, that's a lot better.
Okay. I think what was happening, I had to connect. There's two types of speakers. There's the default and then the MacBook Pro built-in. And for some reason, I was in the Pro built-in, and that was being weird. Okay. All right, let's start over.
Welcome back. I did the whole show already, so that's it. Raina's final word.
It's Groundhog Day.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I was just kind of explaining that ACF is a plugin that we use. We don't use many plugins overall. This allows you to add custom post types and fields along with those, and also display. ACF itself can do a lot of things like repeater fields and flexible content, which is something that we could do because we have a Pro premium now. But usually ACF in itself, what we're going to display and show, this stuff is free. There's two plugins that I'll be displaying, ACF and then meta fields. Both are unnecessary if you know code, but are very helpful if you don't know code and you just want to edit and modify things on your own, DIY. So that's what we'll be going over today.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that and just let everyone know that what we're going to go over today is something that can really save you time. If you have a WordPress site, this is something that is super helpful to know exists and to be able to know how you can dynamically pull things in, which will save time from manually doing it each time. We'll go over some of the scenarios that you can do that. There's some most typical ones, like every time there's a new employee to add a new to the team page and things like that. There's repetitive things that are done each time that would really work great with using this plugin.
Yeah, right on. I mean, that's exactly what I always say too. So a lot of sites will have, that's a great example, team members, and it'll be a grid. And then one team member will get hit by a bus and then the other ones have to move up, and by doing that, depending on what you're using, Divi, God help us, or Elementor, which is a little easier, or block theme, you don't want to edit those type of, yeah, I landed. Landon's daily interruption. Yeah, you can go. You want to still watch the Olympics? I think he said. Anyways, you don't want to be editing these things when somebody drops off, and that's just one example, but there's also blogs. Anything that has layers or sections or cards, What we're talking about is to abstract that data and to put it somewhere else, and then to use the page to display the data in a loop, or we call it a loop query in WordPress, or a post template. But really, you're using that external data to display without having to edit the display of it. So that's the team member thing is a really good example, but there's tons of them out there. I think team members are probably the most common that we see, though.
Yeah, and the great thing about this, like Tony just said, is you won't have to mess with the actual visual page. Everything is stored in its own section on the back end of WordPress. So things will just appear perfectly once you set it up and you add the styles, it will just populate where it's supposed to.
Yeah.
But we're going to go over that later to see a visual of that.
Yeah, exactly. Later or now?
Oh, now
I mean,
yeah.
we kind of discussed like the efficiency of it and flexibility. And again, this show today is National Work Like a Dog Day. We're going against the grain. We're saying don't work like a dog, work like a cat, or work smarter, really. Because when you do work like a dog, when you do have these team members, say, or as an example, you're really making it harder for yourself. So I'll go over the steps that we use when we hand off a site as much as we can, because I don't want anybody editing display data, because that's just a tragedy waiting to happen, right?
Yeah, and you get just being able to do like these repetitive motions each time. There's no reason that you have to do it, and knowing that there's a better way to make everyone's lives a little bit easier when it comes to keeping your site updated and not having to actually jeopardize the design.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, so I booted up a local host. I called it ACF just because that's what we're talking about. There's really nothing on it, so this is just WordPress 6.6. I'm going to install 2 plugins. Actually, I already did, but I have to activate them. So we have advanced custom fields. Again, this is a free version. The pro version does more things, but unnecessary for a lot of stuff. And again, a lot of this stuff can be done in code with register post meta, but we're not going over that here. This is about the ease of not working like a dog and working more like a feline. And then we have another one, which again is unnecessary. You can do short codes. There's a few other plugins that are out there. But this one, Meta Field Block, has worked really well, and I'm a big fan of it. There's a lot of instructions. You could do a lot of stuff with it, but again, the basic functionality, it's included. So I installed ACF and Meta Field Block. So for our example, I'm going to go through and create a custom post type, which is pretty much saying it could be a business related. So say you have an ice cream shop and you have ice cream flavors. That would be a custom post type or a taxonomy. Or say you have I don't know, help me out here, Anna. What's a good one? Maybe even just team, So say you have a team of people on your team or on your team.
What about like recipes? Like let's say a restaurant.
Yeah, recipe is a great one. So if you have, so say you're a blog that talks about food. You don't want to have posts and say, here's how to cook ravioli as a post. That's great. But if you have that custom content as recipes and you have ravioli in there, the slug of it, the URL will be your domain /recipes / the name of the recipe, which is way better than blog or post. It tells Google, it tells the person who's using it what it is, it tells Google what it is, and it's just better organization in case you want to adapt in the future. You don't want to go back to 100 posts or more or whatever and try to do it manually. So that's another part of this, working like a dog. You want to work smart instead of working hard. So for our example, I'm going to do dogs. So let's just say we are a dog farm. We ship out dogs to people. So for ACF, I'm going to create a post type and I'm going to call it dogs. Plural label dogs, singular label dog. It adds a post key. This is pretty much the URL. So your domain name / this post key / whatever the slug is going to be. So that's the title usually.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm trying. My seat. Sorry, I was falling down.
No, I wasn't looking. I'm on the screen over here.
Oh, okay.
You okay?
If anyone was watching, I like my seat started going lower and lower, and like the
Uh-oh.
mic was going higher. I'm okay.
All right, good. Um, Raina's working like a cat. She's taking a nap during this presentation. So I'm creating a new post type called dogs, singular label dog, and the post key dogs. Once I add that, simply, we have dogs to the left, which is just an amazing little thing. And again, you could do this with something called post register meta. That'll do the same thing. You have all the access that it gives you here. But for a client to come in and say, how do I X, Y, and Z, at least they can use this UI instead of going inside of code, right?
Right.
So we have our dogs to the left. There's no dogs. Well, there is a dog, Bob, because I added him earlier to test this out, but I deleted Bob. No more Bob. Now we're going to add a field group that's attached to the dogs. We're going to say the dog breed, right? So I'm going to add a field group. We're going to call it dog options because we could put a bunch of things in there. We could say the age of the dog. We could say whatever attributes are the dog's attributes we can add here. So, but for this example, let's just say dog option. It's a text field and it's called dog breed. That's going to give us a field name here, dog underscore breed. And I'm going to save. And I'm also going to associate it to the post type of dog. Now under dogs, if I want to add Bob, let's name him Fred now. We're going to see a dog breed option all the way to the bottom. This is where we can enter in. He is a golden retriever. Am I spelling this right? Yes. A vicious. No, let's leave that part out. So this is Fred. He's a golden retriever. And let's add a featured image of, I don't really have any dog images, but I do have a picture of myself. So let's feature me as Fred, the dog, the golden retriever. I'm going to publish this. Now, there's a few things going on. One, I'm going to click and we're going to see dog Fred in my picture. This is just a generic how WordPress is set up with its template. We can edit this later. We're not really going into much of the display of the single, but this is how ACF works. It'll assign the URL to a slug and a category for which the name of the post type was, right? So the part we really want to display here is how do you display these, whether it be like a team member or dogs or recipes? How do you display these in sort of a grid or a list without having to modify or edit the list? And we'll show you that right here. So I'm just going to add a title. It's going to be called List of Dogs. And with the other plugin, this meta plugin, which is really cool, we'll do that in a second, you're able to abstract data that's inside of that post type, like the ACF, and then use it inside of a post template. And I'll show you exactly what that means here. So we're going to add a query loop. This is how easy WordPress 6.6 is, by the way. If you haven't used it in a while, the new WordPress is completely different than the old WordPress. I wouldn't even suggest the old WordPress, honestly, to a lot of people because of the way it looked. This I've been like promoting like crazy, like I'm getting paid from WordPress. It's amazing. It's awesome. It's free and simple. So I'm going to start with a blank one. We're just going to say list of dogs. Now we see hello world. What is this for? That doesn't make any sense. It does make sense because it's looking for posts. You could choose any sort of custom post type. For this, we're going to choose dog, and you're going to see Fred here. It's a little weird. There's a date, there's pagination. We'll get rid of that in a second. But once we open up this left sidebar, we're going to see a few things. Pagination, we don't care about that. No results, we don't care about that. But we're going to see post template. And inside of this post template is where you would add the meta, which is the meta that is being pulled from ACF. So this post template, if there's multiple dogs, this post template relates to that. So Fred, Bob, Janice, all these dog names. These aren't really good dog names. But it'll show the title, it'll show the date, and whatever else we add here. So we want to add something new, which would be the breed. And the way to add that is to use that plugin or something else, but for ease of use, we're going to use that plugin, meta field block. What I'm doing is a / and that's pulling up a context menu. It says, this is the meta field block. Please input field name. The plugin itself, I would say the UI, it leaves nothing to write home about, right? It's kind of like very bare bones, but it does the job. So we're going to say the field type is ACF. We're going to go to field name, and the name of it was dog breed. You're not going to see it here, but once I publish this page and look at the list of dogs, we're going to see golden retriever here. Isn't that cool? So that is actually pulling from the dogs. Let's go back over here. The ACF field that we set up. Now, this is obviously a very simple example, but you can imagine that it can get very complicated for us. You can have stats of the dog, the weight. We can have repeater fields, its relatives, maybe, who it's bred from. Kind of like we do a horse site, and it shows like the lineage of the running horses, like where they're from. You could do stuff like that. This is not doing that. It's only showing the dog breed. So just to adapt on that, just so it makes a little more sense here, we can add maybe like the image, which would be my image, featured image. There I am Fred, I am the dog. Let's open that up. We see a list of dogs. Fred looks like me, and he's a golden retriever, and it was published on August 5th. So this example, again, it's a very small example, but it does show this relation between data, abstraction of data, and not working like a dog, and to make things easier. Because if I go in here now and I want to add a new dog and I want to name him or her, let's say Janice the dog, and she's a beagle, you're going to see on the page that has the dogs, there's Janice. And the great thing about it is that if I go in here and I edit this, and I say the query loop, instead of it being, newest to oldest, I want to reverse it. And I want to say oldest to newest. This would be a little different if I'm editing grids and I'm trying to drag things around. You could do a lot more in here too. So you don't have to just do it by newest to oldest. You can actually install another plugin and drag the fields around to have a custom order, which is way more simple on the back end. So if I'm over here just to show you, I don't have that plugin installed. But you'd be able to just take this and drag Janice under Fred, or vice versa, and drag Fred over Janice. And those would reflect on the front end in this order without having to figure out, what am I dragging? What am I selecting? What am I moving from here to here? So that's the part that we really want to get across, that this type of plugin setup doesn't have to be exactly ACF. It doesn't have to be meta, but this type of abstraction of data is essential. And we always develop sites like this. There are some cases where maybe there's some one-off that says maybe there's 3 things on a page, but if there's more than 3, and we know that somebody's going to go into the site and be editing, deleting, modifying, reordering stuff, this is the setup to do. I need a drink of coffee.
Yeah, and I just sent you a picture of an actual dog. I just want to show how easy it is to, let's say there's a new photo that needs to be replaced. It's as simple as changing the featured image, and that will update the card image. No need to do anything on the visual page, but you would just find it here, replace it, and then find it in the media library, and it updates here. So so then just save it, and then the update will be done. But
Fred,
also just seeing in the back end how easy it is. It would be in the side panel, and it's named whatever you name it for the advanced custom field. So
yeah, and there's tons of options in advanced custom fields. So you can change inside of here, you can change the URL, the slug. You can also do stuff inside of code. So if you're running a blog and there's parent categories, you can actually modify all those. So the slugs are really beneficial to SEO, like blog/technology/the title, instead of it just being post/the title. So you can really drill down. Even with dogs, you could say dogs, golden retrievers, name of dog. We're not going that far. It does take a little bit of time, but you can see here, there's also a lot of options down here. This will allow you to say, show it, or change the URL, or only allow certain people to see it, or allow it in the REST export to do like a headless WordPress situation. Add descriptions, so if you're handing it off to a client, they know exactly what it is. You can even add a little icon, which is really cool. Check this out. There's no dog. There's no animal. Well, let's just say it's a paintbrush. But now you'll see over here, dogs as a paintbrush. Doesn't make any sense. But you could put other stuff in there too.
Yeah, so anything that you create in ACF is gonna appear on the side panel above, so it has its own custom name, whatever is carried over there. So when you're going to add another dog, you just find the dogs or whatever you name it and the little side panel, and then you do everything here instead of searching on the visual and making the edits there. It's all done within that area.
Yep. Yeah, and I said I wasn't going to pull it up, but I actually did want to show something on Artique. So this is a co-op that we've worked on. We did their site, and we continuously improve it. But we did make a custom post type for vendors because it was getting crazy, right? There's a lot of vendors here, and you don't want to be editing 26 or more vendors. Yep. But each of these vendors inside, just open one up.
Yeah, anytime there's something that is changing constantly, there's updates each month, finding a more efficient way to pull it in dynamically is so key, especially if it has each of its own design columns and things like that. You don't want to have to be recreating. You don't want to have to recreate the column, the row, put the, adding the copy all over again. You don't have to worry about the design because the design is already done once.
Taken care of. Yeah. And the other more important part of this, I feel like we're talking about the index, right? Like the grid of stuff, but using this will give you pages for each person, kind of like we said about Fred the dog. In this case, everybody has their own profile page, which that would be horrible to take care of if you're just managing it manually, right? On the grid and having like a page for each person. So this is like killing two birds with one stone, as they say, where you can have a page that's dedicated to whatever the object is, and then an index that is managed by like a default, like a pre-setting, whether it be a grid, carousel, or however the layout is. I just wanted to show this one thing. So this, yes, that's great and all. So we added these custom fields. But one thing that is a little unique about that plugin that we installed, so say there's a YouTube URL, you wouldn't want, if I open up this vendor list again here, you wouldn't want the YouTube URL to show, right? You'd want the icons to show. Where are these people? Here they are. So you see like a Facebook icon. We have down here a YouTube icon, an Instagram icon. How does that work, right? Because you have a URL here. This works with the plugin, that MetaBlock plugin, and you can actually add code to intercept this data. So you can say when a YouTube URL is entered, I want to modify it before the output, which is really essential. I'll just show you really quick what you can do here. Under functions, I won't go through every part. So we just added YouTube one the other day. Looks a little messy, but this is pretty much saying if there's block content and its name is YouTube, which it is, and if YouTube is equal to the current field name, then replace the URL, well, actually use the URL, you can see that here with this little symbol, with an SVG that's linked to the URL. So instead of saying, here's the URL, you can actually modify the output pre-display and do anything with it. This is a very simple example, but the possibilities, which I've been saying all week, the possibilities are endless. So just a way to explain a little more of what this means. And again, we didn't really touch on it, but having its own page automatically, or index pages, they're both essential to not working like a dog. Woof.
Yeah, because what really it's saying is you put the information for the bio in one place, and then it dynamically pulls on not one page, but two pages, or any pages you decide to put it on. So what would happen if you don't have this set up is you're going to have to enter it on the vendor page. You're going to have to add it to the single page with just the bio on it. And you see how all of that can take more time. And this will just completely save time because you only have to put the bio in one place, and then you set it up where it shows on the pages that you want. And it's just a huge time saver.
Yeah, and like you just said, like one or two, but imagine that you can have these everywhere on the site. So
everywhere.
I don't know why. I'm Baba Wawa. Yeah, so if you're selling dogs, let's say, you can have a CTA on each page of the most recent dogs, or you can have it related to maybe the pages about golden retrievers and you're pulling in golden retrievers. This might not be the best way to do it with ACF. You usually do that with taxonomy. So pretty much saying that all dogs go to heaven, and all dogs will have a certain category of breed. Yeah, so I think that explains it well. It's we're touching on a topic that is very extensive, really, abstraction of data, but it is something that I truly believe in, having worked for big corporations and startups that have like all this data and white sheets and products, trimming it down to say, well, what is this exactly? What is it used for? How often is it touched? And then abstracting it. I love the word abstraction. I feel like I use it too much, not just in this live stream, but in general.
Yeah, if it sounds like I'm at the dentist or something. Extraction,
Yeah.
if your teeth be taken out.
Yeah, that's extraction, I think, right? Or maybe isn't there something about whatever? I'm saying abstract. So when
I thought you were saying extraction.
No, abstract is meaning you're saying, what is this data? What am I working with here? Let me pull it out and use us. Mostly it's a programming thing. So when you abstract something, now I'm saying extract. When you abstract code, you're pretty much saying, let me make functions and classes out of this so it's more extendable so I can use it elsewhere. So when you talk about data, this is the way to do it. When you talk about code, you're really kind of making little pieces their own sections. But man, this has saved us so much time. And I honestly feel when I jump into sites that other developers have done and they don't have this, first of all, they lose a notch of skill on my. That's what I think. But I think, like, why do they not know? Do they not care? Do they really like editing like this and having carpal tunnel syndrome? I don't know. So usually when I get into a site and if they're paying for me to do it, I'll definitely abstract the data because it makes it easier for you, the client. It makes it easier for me, depending on what I'm working on in the site. Unless it's like hundreds and thousands of things. And then we can probably figure out a script to get it into a custom post type. But sometimes if it's too far gone and you've already went down this path, it's kind of hard to get out of unless you're doing the site over,
Exactly. Yeah, so when you're thinking about ways to improve your website, and really, I think it's probably easier to do in the beginning stages, but even if you're doing an audit of your current site and you see that there are multiple pages that have the same information, that's where you can really classify, okay, there's a better way to do this, because let's say there's a title of a team member that changes and you want to make that update, you can update it at one spot and then it'll update on all of those necessary pages. So that's where it really comes in handy when thinking about when's a good case study for advanced custom fields.
Yep, that's true. Anything that's going to change, I would say. And again, you don't have to use advanced custom. There's plenty out there. There's other plugins. This, to me, is the most. It's updated constantly. It's secure. It's free, unless you're looking for it. There's other examples. Like if you're not doing free, there's reasons to get the premium, like something called a repeater field, where you can pretty much assign a bunch of fields. So say the dog breed, the dog's face, the dog's parents, as a repeater. So you can keep doing it pretty much. There's also something called a flexible layout that's in the premium that'll allow a developer to say, remember I used to do this? I was actually working on the base theme that we're working on before the block theme came out, but it'll say, let me add a CTA layer, and that CTA layer is already pre-configured in ACFs for the person that's building the page to say, here's the text, here's the image, here's the button. But again, block theme has really taken away the need for that. I feel you can do things which we haven't really talked about yet, but that patterns and having only certain things editable, that's pretty much what ACF used to do, but now it's native to WordPress. So maybe pretty soon we're not going to need ACF anymore, I feel, because there are custom fields already in WordPress, but they're just very listed. I don't feel like they do a great job. I think as time goes on, with all the updates they've been making and going towards this, I want to say no code, but drag and drop interface, those custom fields will probably be taken away and replaced with something I can't believe I've been on LinkedIn for 17 years. It just sent me an email.
To add on to the advanced custom fields plugin, it is free, but it's probably best to get the premium only because of the security updates, and that's where you can technically set it up and have it pull this information, but just being part of, the community word fence, getting alerts, things should be updated, and that's where they get you with the premium. Like, you have to.
Yeah, I mean that's if you had the Pro installed. You can't just install the regular and then it just updates no matter what, too. But
Oh,
yeah,
I thought it wouldn't unless you had the premium.
there's two. There's the Pro version and then there's the other one. But
Oh,
it does come along with cool things. And yeah, she's right about the security. A lot of people do install the Pro for the features and then never update it because they don't have a premium account. Been there.
oh,
But if you just install the regular ACF, that'll just update when there are updates. But there
okay.
are cool things that come along with it, like those other things that I mentioned, repeater fields and flexible layouts. There's some other fields too. If you're building a bigger site, what is it, $99 a year or something? That's nothing for the
Yeah,
power that it gives you.
we've used it. We're using all of those robust features, so that's why I think we've always suggested the premium, but on a basic level, I guess it's right off the box, like right out of WordPress. There are features that anybody can use, but
Yeah, I love ACF. I've been using it for I want to say I don't want to miss give it a wrong birthday, but I think I've been using it for 10 years.
wow.
I know. But yeah, 17 years on LinkedIn. I just saw another email come through. They keep telling me, they're like, don't leave. You've been here 17 years.
Where are you
17.
gonna go? It said don't leave, or are
No,
you lying?
I'm lying about that, but it should say that.
Can you
Don't.
imagine? Go. Don't go to the next LinkedIn.
I don't know. Why ruin a good thing? We've already been here 17 years. Damn, though, right? What's that? 42 minus 17. I was 25. Yikes. Young whippersnapper. Fred the dog, the golden retriever, just like him. Yeah, so I mean, I think again, this kind of skims the surface. There's a lot to it, but just talking about data abstraction in general, the idea theoretically is really important. However you use that, maybe it's not WordPress, maybe it's Drupal, maybe it's your own code. Even in regular code, when you use these low-level systems, say it's a blogging platform like Ghost or Hugo, they have files that are just files for your blogs. You don't put them within everything else. They're separated, they're abstracted. So this process is very popular in something called OOP, which is object oriented programming, or MVC, which is model view controller, that you say things are elsewhere. The functionality, the display is also elsewhere. That's what kind of a model view controller means. So you have a model, which is pulling from the database, the view, which is displaying, and the controller, which does things, maybe a filter or displays in certain views. MVC, baby. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
If if anyone has any questions about whether you think your website should use it or even a scenario, just drop us a comment or reach out to one of us, and we'll definitely just go over our thoughts about it after taking a look at your website.
Yeah, and it is possible. We've done it many times. Say there is maybe this calls out to someone like, "Oh my God, I do have a team page and it's horrible to manage." We could jump in and just do that part. You could just install ACF and create a new content type, move it over, whether it be manually or a CSV export, import, and then it's managed. I think going down the path of being like, well, it's already set up that way, and then years go by and you've already spent an extra 30 hours on this page, when it could have been solved with 4 hours of development time that says, here's the card view, here's the data, let me move it over. So it's
Yeah, and think
possible.
about the person who's managing it, whether it be in-house or yourself. You could save so much time and work on even more important things for your business versus doing something so, manual each time. So you take the time to develop it right, it
Yeah.
will save time in the long run and save money.
Yeah. Or if you just want to sit back and watch the Olympics. I'm like, I don't want to make this team page anymore. Oh, it's easy with ACF. I can watch Simone Biles, who only got silver today. Shucks. But go Brazil. I'm a fan of Brazil. They paid their way to get there. They come from like the barrio of Brazil. Is that what it's called there? Where
Yeah.
they like their brothers are dead and stuff and gangs and they paid their way to get it. So I'm a big fan of the Brazil team though. More
Yeah, I was happy to see them win. I think they deserved it. They performed really well, and it was nice, of course, you want USA, but like it's nice to see someone else win too,
yeah.
especially when they perform at the best quality. So
I'm gonna change my thing to say 3-tone digital web developer. I like it. Dash Tony. I don't know. This is almost like data abstraction right here. Or like what makes sense. Now we're both 3-tone digital. Maybe that doesn't make the most sense.
yeah, I was doing that because I was doing the shorts,
Yeah.
and there
Oh, I see.
to see the logo really was getting cut off, so that's why I put it on there.
All right, let me get back to this then. Web dev at 3-tone. Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense this way.
Yeah, let's talk about our upcoming schedule for the week. If anyone
Yeah,
wants to join in,
let's
the schedule.
pop this up here. We have August 5th, data management. That's today. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking all about social engineering, which is a process used by hackers, phishers. It can also be used for good, too. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Lighthouses. We're from Rhode Island, and we're also talking about lighthouses are really popular in Rhode Island. We're also talking about the Lighthouse app that will give you a score for a website, and also lighthouses in general guiding your way and navigating the way. August 8th, we have saving money. Who doesn't want to save money? And August 9th, Raina's going to tell us a story.
Mm-hmm.
It's like once upon a time with Raina. We'll open it up like this. Yeah, so how about the stage is yours if you want to say a final word.
All right, so today's final word really is to when you're thinking about how to save time, you want to make sure to just think smarter and maybe take the time to just figure out, okay, how things can be done less manually. There's a saying, I'm literally can't think of it right now, but to think, Tony, if you want to jump in and say the saying, I know you know it. You just said it earlier.
Work harder, not I work smarter, not harder. No.
There you go. Works
Smarter, not harder.
smarter, not harder. There. It's like trying to remember it is like hard.
Work like a cat instead of a dog.
Yeah. So thinking about ways to do that, taking the time to analyze your current situation and figure out, well, how can we streamline things? How can we make things more dynamically pulling in? There's so many options now more than ever that there are ways to save time within your resources, within your team, that you can focus on the more pressing matters, sales, marketing, other things that you'd rather be doing than making these updates. They're necessary, of course, but should be done more streamlined. So
yeah, make it easy for yourself. That and just the fact of it's like a double whammy. So yeah, you can manage it right there, but it also gives these things. This is only that one example, but it'll give it its own page. There's many other time efficient savings that ACF and other sort of like the meta plugins do that a lot of people don't do, and they're manually editing their sites and wasting a lot of carpal tunnel muscles.
yeah, and save your hands muscles.
Yeah,
Going back and forth, because doing this a lot really does create a lot of stress in your hands. So
yeah, I think this whole ACF thing, this was probably the reason I found it was a task that I had gotten that was just crazy, and I'm like, there has to be a better way. and there is a better way. There's always a better way. Even if you have to write a script and it takes you 3 hours, it's better than doing it for 15 hours manually. That's
Yeah.
my opinion personally. I'd rather learn, write mentally, and be like, I don't know what's going on, and bug fix and try to troubleshoot and figure it out there, script wise, whatever it might be, than wasting time going the other way. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but most of
And I would say if you're doing things more than, I would say 3 times, 3 is the magic number, then there should be a way to dynamically pull it in. Sometimes, like Tony taught me this really, he'll see me do something, he's like, no, there's a better way. Why are you doing this repetitively? And then it's changing your way of thinking because you're comfortable and sometimes doing things the way that you know. But to take a step and be like, there is a better way. I just got to take the time, figure it out, and I will thank myself in the end, even if
yeah,
it's above what you know.
yeah, it's true. Like thanking yourself at the end, because it is kind of an undertaking to be like, let me just change the way I'm doing this and used to it, whatever it might be. Maybe you already started the page, or if it's a page, you're like, oh my god, I got to do this over again. But really, the future depends on your own thought now to say, let me make this simple for future me. Otherwise, future you is like, what the heck? For real, you didn't do that back then? And then
Yeah,
Tony,
don't be afraid to learn something new. We're
yeah,
always learning, and it's something that I think a lot of people struggle with, whether you're a developer, designer, when somebody outside of what you do might be trying to teach you something new. There's a lot of natural resistance to that, whether it be I'm comfortable in my way, I've mastered my way. But to have an open mind and just really take in somebody's new way and see if it does make sense. Give it a try. There's so many, I think, people, personalities out there that might be resistant to that change. And it's something that, like, even me, I work on that. Like, oh, well, let me try. It's new. I don't really know. And then give it a try, a real try. And it actually could definitely be an improvement and
yeah,
a very humbling moment for you.
yeah. But learning is always the thing. You know what I mean? It's just getting out of our old ways. Let's talk about Go for Gold. While the Olympics are on, we have 3 days to submit. We've gotten some submissions, not enough to say, hey, this category wins, but it is what it is. So we're prompting people to come to our website. You can scan this QR code or just go to 3tonedigital.com/go. I should make a short URL -go for -gold. Maybe I'll just make it /gold. So if you're going there, I'll do that right after this. I'll make a redirection, 3tonedigital.com/gold. You can enter a site, submit it for review, and we will be giving away bragging rights to say, I won this gold. Oh, look at this. Raina has.
Yeah, this is a torch.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
so yeah, this is a great contest for anybody really, like developers, designers, businesses, a way to get just free visibility for your business. If you have a site that you guys spent a lot of time on developing, has a great audience, followers, we want to highlight that here. And it is something that we're going to blog about and really pull out the best features of your site. So it's a fun contest, free entry. It's more of just going out there and you'll get a nice little badge. This isn't the badge, but if you're the winner, then we're going to create a nice little graphic that you can put in the footer of your website that really shows that your site is a standout site, and have a link to the blog with through the badge. So it's a way to free backlinking. There's a lot of benefits just with SEO and things like that that we want to kind of give back, as well as educate everyone about these key sections and features of your website.
Yeah, and we want to see cool sites. I like seeing cool sites. I like to judge too. I'm very judgy. The other thing, we'll be mentioning the winners on the live stream, shouting out with the flame. Raina's going to hold up the torch flame.
Yeah, in all countries. I know we work outside of the US too. So if you have a site that is in the UK or anywhere really, it's open to submit. If
Yeah.
anyone has any questions about anything, it's really any type of site.
Any type of site, submit it. Yep. Yeah, so I think that's it. It's 11:47. It's Monday. We have some things going on this week. We got our networking tomorrow. Don't we?
Shout out
Yes.
to the BRG group.
Shout out to BRG. We got our first real, I think I'm going to say it's our first real lead from the chamber on digital. So not even in person. This person found us through the member section of the Chamber of Commerce website. They're looking for a website. They wrote us last night. We had a party, which was
we had a small celebration and we were really excited. I mean, even us just, seeing things come in, seeing the process work, and you put all this time networking and being part of organizations. And when something just works, it's very exciting. And I mean, we haven't talked to him yet, but still, just to see the process of it working.
I wrote him back, but yeah. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, we could see the actual visit come through on Hotjar because we use Hotjar, and we could see the refer. So it was chambers through the form. And it was actually a really cool session because sometimes you look at them and you're like, what is this person doing? But this guy went straight to the portfolio, scrolled, looked at our portfolios. I guess he was impressed enough to go to the about page and then the contact page, which is the perfect user journey, So it was nice.
It was exciting to see that. And Tony just updated the portfolio page. So it was like, yay. When you put it out there and you take the time and get things updated and then you see the journey work exactly how we wanted it to is like a great feeling.
High five.
Oh, yeah. I'm like hitting the mic.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Chamber of Commerce. All right, I'm going to play us out. And we hope everybody has a great day. We'll see you tomorrow for, what was it about?
Tuesday is social engineering.
Yeah.
All right. Everyone have a great Monday, and we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.